guys, welcome to Denton, Dallas and Beyond. This is our new cooking channel. My name is Matt and this is my buddy Rue. Today we're going to be showing you guys how to make a dashi soup. Rue?
Holy shit, if you ever thought about making anything Japanese, you definitely want to have the basics down. Dashi is a fish broth that is sort of the base for many of the dishes that you might have encountered in Japanese restaurants. If you've had miso soup, guarantee you there's dashi in it. If you've had any sauce in a Japanese restaurant, there's probably a little bit of dashi there. So all of the stuff that we have for you today is things that you can get off of Amazon or from the grocery store. And well, except for the Scrappy Boy beer, which you can only get from the Armadillo Ale Works in Denton, Texas, which is our hometown. And I would highly recommend that you get some of this. So what do we got in front of us right now?
We've got right here, we got the dried kombu. It says to take a 4 by 2 inch piece. Now this is just seaweed that's grown out in the Sea of Japan. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to make a simple cut, and then we got to boil it for about 10 minutes. But we don't actually boil it, we're actually going to take it out right before it boils because we don't want it to get to that point.
All right, because if you end up boiling the seaweed, it's going to turn into a mush that is not going to be really all that palatable. And of course, we always have our podcat Presley out with us helping at every point in time. She's really excited about the next phase of this recipe.
So the next ingredient, which we'll get to here in a second, but previous is these bonito. These are fish flakes, dried fish flakes. And so Kat is definitely drawn to the fish flakes. So, all right, I'm going to take this right now. We're going to put it. We've already got a pot going over here that's we've already pre-started warming up, and we're just going to get this boiling for right about 10 minutes.
And as Matt is doing that, I'll kind of explain a little bit about these fish flakes here, the bonito flakes. I can guarantee you that there's not a possibility in the world that you are going to use 100 grams of bonito fish flakes in your lifetime. This particular recipe, I think, calls for 4 ounces.
2 ounces. 2 ounces. 2 ounces. So,
so that's 50 recipes.
Yes.
From this one wonderful bag that I think costs like $4 on Amazon. So
well, it's a good thing they're freeze dried because they won't go bad.
All right, so let's measure them out. We've got our handy dandy little measurement apparatus here, also known as.
Let me get this out of the way for you.
A scale, and I know that Presley is going to be extremely
happy with all this stuff.
Ooh, Lord, it is fishy too. Yeah. Oh my God, that is some fishy smelling stuff.
Before we started the video, we also took the weight of this dish so that we could get exactly 2 inches on the scale.
2 ounces. We got 1 ounce there.
I said inches.
So if you'll dump that 1 ounce in there, I will.
That's 1 ounce. All right. Well,
so with that, wait, we
don't do it yet.
Okay, so I need
so we got to do 2 of these. Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to pack them down or what?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Woo, Lord.
I didn't realize it was going to be that much.
Holy crap, that's a lot of flakes.
That is only.
That's. Oh.
Wait, you were at one.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Presley.
Oh my God, you're such a good girl. 1.6
ounces. All right, we got to cram some more in there. We didn't get a big enough dish.
I think we didn't. Let's see, 1.6.
We're still at 1.6.
This is crazy.
This stuff is lighter than air, apparently.
Okay, 1.7. Oh God. Oh yeah. Can you? Let it go. Wait. There we go. All right. So we're roughly about 1.8.
You know what? It's at 1.8. Well, we're gonna call it close enough.
Okay, so
I'm not even going to take that. I'm going to take the whole thing over here.
Right, so we got.
This is phase 2 of the soup. We've got to let the kombu boil for about 10 minutes.
All right. So if you are truly interested in more bonito flakes, I can't imagine.
I didn't think we were going to use that much. Apparently you do. So
all right. So as our kelp begins to kind of cook in there, we also have a couple of different things that we have to make sure we do.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at a dashi, what we're looking for is a very clear broth, because again, it's kind of the base of things. So you don't want it to be kind of a pale color or an opaque color. We really want a nice clean broth. And the only way that you're going to make that happen is
with the cheesecloth, which we've already pre-cut, and it's a little chopped up. Our cutting skills are not as sharp as they need to be, but hey, we're not professional cooks here, people. We're just showing you how to do simple things at home that they do in restaurants. This is how you do things at home.
right.
So,
And I can guarantee you that, like if you buy cheesecloth, here's a little tip from your Uncle Roo here, is that you can buy 2 square feet of cheesecloth for about $10. And you can buy 50 square foot of cheesecloth for about $10. So you do the math and know which one I got. So I could wrap cheesecloth around all of us right now and it would be fine.
all right, we've got a little bit of a boil going here,
Okay,
so I think it said to not let it boil, so I'm going to turn this down.
Matt's high on the heat for us.
I can definitely smell the seaweed. It's got a very salty, very earthy kind of, I don't know, greeny smell. I don't know how to describe that.
Well, I would say seaweedy. So
seaweedy.
So Matt made a comment about this when we pulled it out, is that because this stuff is freeze dried, you're going to see a little bit of white on the kelp itself. That's not going to hurt you. It's not going to affect the flavor at all. It's really it's really meant to last. And again, this is something that you could buy just a little bit of, and you would probably be okay for a long time. So anyway.
The instructions in this cookbook that we're looking at say is to take the kombu out with chopsticks. Well, we have chopsticks here.
American chopsticks.
But we're going to use these instead because it's still in a whole piece. It didn't disintegrate in the bowl. So I'm going to put this in there and we're going to move on to the next step. One side.
So here we go. So as we pull all of that out of there, again, dashi is also something that is very easy to freeze. So if we're making 10 cups, and 10 cups is a lot of soup.
Yes.
So if you want to save some of the dashi for later, that's okay too.
Look how much this expanded. We started with a 2 by 4 inch piece, and it really expanded out. So you can definitely tell that this is plant-based material. It is seaweed. It is organic. Comes straight out of the Sea of Japan. So that thing expanded like I didn't know it was going to expand that much.
Holy moly, we could do a house wrap with
That's
that.
right.
So the thing with it is that this will be used later as part of your soup. And again, it's something you can freeze if you don't want to use it all.
What's next? Alright, we took that out. We're gonna, and also before we started taping, it said to add an additional half a cup of cold water. And I've had that sitting in the refrigerator now for about 30 minutes.
Don't know why.
Don't know why. We're just following the recipes here. Simple folks, not professional chefs.
Right. The Japanese culture is very, very impressive.
Don't let it boil. All right.
Don't let it boil.
We're going to pour this in here. We're not going to let it boil. And then we're going to dump the flakes in here in a second.
Here we go. So we got, I mean, it's not that complicated of a recipe. We're hoping that when the recipe ends, that we'll have something that's edible. And if it's not, we'll tell you too, because again, if we do something wrong, we're going to own up to it on this particular show, because it's not going to be one of those perfect shows like you see produced out there in the world. So what do we got next, Matt?
We're going to not let this boil, and then we're going to dump this in there.
Okay.
And
So
let it get up for 5 minutes.
Okay, so basically it's just you and I at this point.
Yeah.
So what do you got to say so far?
Well, we're on the wrong side because my beer's over there and your beer's over here. So here, hey, this is my best side of my camera anyways.
Well, I mean,
Cheers.
I think both of your sides are on that side, but not as good as mine. But that's just here and there.
So,
Mm.
all right, let's see. It's starting to come up a little bit. All right, I'm about to add the flakes in. So I'm going to have to dump this whole thing in here. So, Lou, you want to watch me do this?
So if I would suggest one thing, we're going to take this pot and we're going to bring it over here so we can see it, because we want to see this
That's right.
in action.
We're definitely going to have to watch this because now it smells like dead fish.
All right. So we've got. Let's see. Let's get a little spoon here.
Little fish flakes in
Now
there.
we'll edit all this in post, or maybe not.
Maybe
so
not.
we've got fish flakes here.
I'm willing to bet that the seaweed blew up like I didn't know it was going to. I bet those fish flakes come back and reconstitute, and I bet they blow up as well.
I will tell you that, honestly, this is not as fishy stinky as it was
When we first opened the bag, yeah.
It's more,
maybe that's the secret. Maybe you pick it out and you put it off and you set it off to the side and let it dissipate in the air before you actually boil it. Maybe.
You know what? It's more smoky to me. Smell that. It smells a lot more smoky.
You know what? I do. I get a smoked salmon smell. I don't know if those are salmon flakes in there, but I'm definitely getting a smoked salmon smell.
So, bonita, just in general, is a term for tuna. So they dried it out in some way. I don't know what way, but it really has that smoky flavor. It also reminds me a little bit of white seaweed. When they do that roasting of the white seaweed at Japanese restaurants, that's what it smells like to me. So it's not unpleasant. It was pretty unpleasant when we opened it.
It definitely got the attention of Preston. So, anyways, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So, all we gotta do is just let it sit in there for 5 minutes. Don't let it boil. So on our next show, we're going to show you how we're taking this broth and we're going to actually make some miso soup or some other kind of soup. It's also a base ingredient, I think Rue said earlier, of sauces. So we can reduce it down by over boiling it, making it thicker, and then it can become the base for, I don't know, maybe teriyaki sauce or ponzu or something like that.
There's tons of different ways that you can use this, and again, if you're looking to like save this sauce, I mean, a couple of Ziploc bags of the sauce in the freezer will probably be a very big help. I mean, we're spending, probably 20-30 minutes right now trying to make this sauce, which, we put it in the freezer, a minute or two later, once it's all done, we can make our sauces and build our recipes.
Yeah, we can freeze them in cubes later. Yeah. While you have a second, why don't you tell the people what the 4 basic ingredients of all Japanese sauces are? Well, you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier. So.
Man, I would love to tell you that. I don't remember while I've been drinking heavily, but I will tell you that soy sauce is such a heavy ingredient in all Japanese cooking. And when you talk about making like teriyaki is a thing that is made from your miso pastes, your fish broths, your soys. So I mean, everything is sort of like, when you think about like French mother sauces, there's also things in Japanese cooking that are sort of mother sauces. And this is really truly the base of a lot of those sauces. So,
all right, we've got a little bit of bubbles forming in the bottom, so it's not quite boiling yet, but I don't think we've hit the 5-minute mark. I actually didn't set a timer, which we probably should have, but I did look at the clock.
I'm certain we set a timer, right? Yes.
The clock on the stove says 6:46, and I think I put it on there about 43, so we're still going to give it about a minute or two.
All right.
Actually, as we're still here, the aroma has started to disperse in the air, and it is starting to smell a little bit more fishy. So if you really don't want this smell lingering in your house for too long, maybe open a window or something. It's not overwhelming, but it's definitely gotten the Cat Presley all hyped up on this. But it's going to taste amazing, and I can't wait until it cools down and we can actually do something else with it.
I will tell you that there is a strong fish aroma here. And I'm not against it. I'm thinking right now, it's brought me back to a day when I was in... I guess it was Seattle.
Yes, the Pike's Fish Market. Pike's Fish Market, yep. It's got a Pike's Fish Market smell to it.
So if you want your house to smell just like Pike's Fish Market?
I want to take a look at this bag real quick here. Let's see. It's very hard to tell what the actual ingredients of the bag is, because you can see it is in Japanese. So, but I'm trying to say that it just says ingredients, dried fish.
Right.
Don't really know what fish it actually is. I love salmon fish. I love, tilapia, all kinds of fish or whatever. But I definitely, mentioning Seattle, I was on an Alaskan cruise about a year or two ago, and I ate a lot of salmon. And there's a lot of canned salmon, smoked salmon, salmon jerky. And the smell that's reminding me of salmon is the salmon jerky they sell up in Alaska. I don't know if it's salmon or not, but either way, it's really good. We're at 6:48. Let's take this thing off and start it off.
All right, so we're about to...
We are just still, we're simmering a little bit, so we're there. We didn't get quite up to a boil. I can definitely tell now. Let me get some little things here. All right.
So again,
I can definitely tell why we're using a cheesecloth, because the fish flakes kind of disintegrated.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to actually use a cheesecloth and a colander. If you use just a colander, you're going to have bits and pieces in there. So that's what the cheesecloth is. It's a much tighter knit, and it's going to block some more of those particles coming in. All right. I don't want to burn your hands, but see if you can kind of hold that while I'll pour this slow so we don't cause a fire. Oh, that's not
okay.
Time out, cheesecloth move.
Hold on.
We should have cut a bitter piece of cheesecloth, but we didn't.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, still keep going.
The bits and chunks are going to come out here in a second.
There we go. There we got
do it over on that side.
Yeah, somebody really went cheap on the cheesecloth, and that was me. I only had 50 yards
there
of
we
it.
go.
Yeah, I only had 50 yards of it. I don't know why I would have went.
All right, let's pull
cheap
that
on it.
cheesecloth out.
Okay, so we're gonna fold this over. I know you can't really see the bonita flakes, but we've actually captured them pretty well within this cheesecloth.
Yes, we did. We actually did a very good job. Let me get my towel
So
here.
we're gonna try to drain that out.
Clean up. Please clean up while you cook. It makes life so much simpler so the dishes do not stack up.
No, clean as you go.
Clean as you go. That is the rule.
All right,
Don't
so
need the chopsticks.
we're gonna take our little.
Hey, that's an ingenious little trick there. See, like I said, we're not professionals. We're using common hacks here.
All right, so we got.
Well, it's got a lot more flavor.
Woo! Look at that. That's
Not
beautiful.
flavor, I'm sorry, color than I thought it was going to have.
That's actually a beauty.
Let me take this out.
Come on,
Sorry.
Yep, still smells like fish.
We should have done that. Can't really see it. This is a not a hot
No,
pot,
no,
but
yeah.
I guess I don't really know if I can show up here. It kind of has a yellow amber color to it, which I guess kind of, oh, there we go. So the pot is not showing it as justice as it needs to. When the colander was in there and it was reflecting off of the metal in the colander, it definitely had a much more of a yellow color to it. We don't necessarily want it to be like a dark, thick color. If you've ever had miso soup is thick. I'm sorry, miso soup is not thick, it's thin, and it's mostly water-based, and that's what this is. So, I feel like I'm fighting for words here.
Well, actually, you're not, because
So-
what has happened is we've come to the end of the dashi broth,
Yep.
which is I think we're gonna have to taste this shit now and make sure that it doesn't taste like ass.
My wife loves it when I cook, but she's also always bugging me saying you gotta taste what you cook.
So
Here we go. All right, this did just come off, so we're gonna have to, there we go. Let's see what we got here. Hopefully we're not gonna die from fishy smell.
It's a very, very light broth.
It is mild. I was expecting it to be a lot more pungent and fishy. You throw some green onions and some mushrooms in here, and you have miso soup.
Yeah, for sure. I would suggest, because we were both thinking about this from the beginning, is like, where's the salt in this?
Well, I think you're getting the salt from the kombu, the sea kelp.
Right.
So, I mean, it's naturally whatever, but you're also getting, I guess, a little bit from the fish. But no, that was very, very, very mild tasting. There's no aftertaste. It's just kind of hits you up front. But yeah, this
Very refreshing.
We have
very
just
like
made-
kind of beginning. Yeah.
we have just made the first process of miso soup. So we look forward to coming back and seeing you guys in the next episode, and we're going to go forward and we're going to take a little mini tour of Japan here in Denton, Texas. Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.